Cherry Creek Sports Network, in association with the Colorado High School Activities Association, is proud to bring you the CHSAA playoffs on CCSA. This afternoon, it's the 5A semifinal between the 4th-seeded Panthers of Pomona and the number 1-seeded Bruins of Cherry Creek. Now we welcome you into the broadcast booth to say hello, friends. I'm Benjamin Paris. My partner is Matthew Anderson. And Matthew, I can't believe I'm saying it. The semifinals are already here, and by next week, we're going to have ourselves a state champion.
Soon enough, we'll know who the best team in Colorado High School 5A football really is. And to me, that's an exciting prospect. Of course, both Cherry Creek and Pomona have already done a great job proving themselves. They've cemented themselves as top 4 teams, advancing to the semifinals, of course, being seeded in the top 4 themselves. They're undefeated at 7-0. Both of these teams have had seasons for their athletic hallways, and they're trying to keep it alive. It's going to be exciting to see them battle that out tonight.
Matthew, when we look at, these two teams played in the same game on the same weekend exactly a year ago, and Pomona's driving downfield at the end of that game, trying to tie the game, maybe force overtime, but one play sealed the deal for Cherry Creek as we take a look at the CCSN vault.
Yeah, well, this weekend, exactly last year, you go back in time, the score is 14-7 in favor of Cherry Creek. Then quarterback Brady Ritzman is driving Pomona down the field. He's looking to tie. He's on Cherry Creek's 34. Ritzman hauls the ball up to the junior receiver, Jack Pospisil, but not before it's tipped by a Cherry Creek defender right into the hands of John Adams. Then the leading tackler, John Adams, made the play there that sent Cherry Creek to the state championship. Of course, the intended receiver, Jack Pospisil, is now Pomona's leading quarterback. Exactly a year later on the same field against the same team, that game-losing interception has to be ripe in Pospisil's mind. And he is looking to lead this Pomona team to a win tonight against Cherry Creek.
Of course, following that game, last year, Cherry Creek went into Mile High Stadium, and when it was all said and done, they came out state champions. So, hey, you never know. Anyone could be the hero like John Adams was a year ago. With that, we'll move right into our CCSN game preview presented by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers to learn more about the Pomona Panthers and the Cherry Creek Bruins.
When we compare these two teams, they are really similar in acumen and terribly different in style.
Now, both these teams are running up nice figures. Top-seeded and undefeated with over 200 points scored. With 2 touchdowns tonight, Cherry Creek will have scored over 300 points on the season. Of course, Cherry Creek and Pomona are 2 of the top defenses in the state. Pomona has held their opponents only 79 points over 7 games. That's just 11.3 points per game. Cherry Creek's defense has allowed 4 touchdowns over 7 games.
Those are some really impressive figures from both teams. And the way these teams have posted those figures has been in completely different ways. Pomona and their leading man, Pospisil, nearly exclusively run the ball. And they run the ball very well. They are currently leading the state in rushing yards. However, it's fair to say that they will have their hands full tonight when it comes to Cherry Creek's straight D1 defensive line. Cherry Creek's D1 D-line is easily leading the state in sacks and tackles for a loss. When it comes to offense, Cherry Creek maintains a pretty healthy balance between the rush and pass game. Creek doesn't really stand out among teams across the state either in the air or on the ground, unlike Pomona, which stands out on the run. But the fact that Cherry Creek switches between the pass and rush so often has kept even the best defenses like Pomona on their toes.
Now, Matthew, just from my understanding alone, it seems like when you look at just the 2 quarterbacks, it tells a lot in terms of the 2 teams because they're polar opposites.
Well, again, polar opposites in style, but similar in acumen. Both of these quarterbacks are top in the state. The difference is that Julian Hammond is more of a passer than a rusher. Of starting quarterbacks, he has the highest passer rating in the state, but he also has negative rush yards.
By contrast, when we look at just Jack Pospisil's running stats alone, his stats are comparable to top running backs in the state.
Yeah, well, Pospisil is technically a quarterback, but he's actually the 8th-ranked rusher in the state. He leads the Panthers in rushing yards and touchdowns. This Cherry Creek D-line has been working hard this past week to prepare for Pospisil, one of their biggest challenges yet, and they're going to have their hands full for sure.
But Matthew, the fact of the matter is Cherry Creek really hasn't had a competitive game since the last time they played Pomona, which, as we mentioned, was a year ago. But in 5 semifinal games they played in since 2014, Cherry Creek's point differential is only +9 when they've had 3 wins and 2 losses in that 5-game stretch.
Yeah, Ben, it is clear that this game is going to be competitive. As you say, they are playing Pomona, Creek's highest-ranked opponent yet this season, and they are playing in the semifinal, which, ironically, if you look back, has been more competitive than the state championship.
We're expecting a great game here at the Stutler Bowl, and fans of Legend and Valor Christian are expecting the same over at Valor Stadium as we look as the CHSAA 5A playoff bracket as a whole.
Yeah, Valor and Legend are suiting up for their game also at 1 p.m. as we speak. Valor's trying to remain undefeated in all-time semifinal games at 10-0, and Legend is making their first ever semifinal appearance. Since the winner of this game plays the winner of that game, we're going to be paying special attention here in this press box, and even on the stream, you'll have the opportunity to see some of that Valor game.
Matthew, we're just 2 days removed from Thanksgiving, so the fall weather absolutely is here, and I think our CCSN weather report accurately reflects that this afternoon.
Yeah, Ben. Well, if you're not in the Denver metro area, it is a nice arid fall day in Denver. We have 0% cloud cover and about 5 miles per hour of wind. It's a good day for a ball game.
Bedford Paris, Matthew Anderson, the teams have hit the field here at the Stutler Bowl. We're going to get you ready for kickoff right after this on CCSN.
I've got that lightning inside me, son of a god. I'm like a titan that's rising, oh, just you watch. I'm stepping into fate, there is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me, this is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made.
Let's go, Bruins, indeed. We're getting ready here for kickoff. Cherry Creek won the statewide toss, as all of the home teams did this week, and deferred to the second half. So, Bone on the Leg page will get us started. And here we go. A 22-yard gain.
That tackle there, completed by Dominic Nichols and Steven Gartman. They're both quite a bit smaller than James Walker, and if there was one statistical weakness of Pomona, it would have to be their size. They're a much smaller team than Cherry Creek. Purchases only a defensive player. Switching some things up here, Cherry Creek knows that if they were to win this game, Valor would go, they'd look at the film, and maybe they see some odd things that have Valor scratching their heads a little bit, be a little bit confused, or, pardon me, Valor or Legend, whichever team ends up winning. So, at Gartman there on the coverage. Now, Gartman, he's not a big guy, and Gunnar Helm is 6'6". And you'll see there, it's just not even a contest of height. Gartman can't get up to that level of height. So,
Wow, Gunnar Helm just kept his foot in bounds. What a reception there.
open. Pomona gonna run a quick offense here. They're calling plays from the sideline, running an up-tempo pace. They're nearly caught Cherry Creek off guard there. Realized they didn't. They're gonna take a break.
A 25-yard gain for Pospisil. He lost his cleat way back in the backfield.
He's gonna hustle to go grab it. Pospisil, watching film this week, he just has great vision, and he is so fast. You see him outrunning the Cherry Creek defense there. Pospisil.
Looking to pass deep in the end zone. His feet are in. Touchdown! The Panthers are on the board, and it's Isaiah Alvarez.
It's Alvarez's second touchdown on the year.
And Pospisil's third in the air.
They've shown Cherry Creek they have an ability to pass that hasn't been shown in the previous weeks in their stats. Al Ashford having to play catch up there, just can't quite reach it.
That might be the play of the year, Matthew.
That might, with 4 seconds left on the clock, Chase Penry there coming in absolutely clutch. 23, his coverage.
Wow!
Ditched him. Thought it was going to Gunnar Helm. Chase Penry open, and he's got the height, he's got the hands. He's got the speed to get down there in the first place.
Bleachers that are giving it to the officials.
Yes, they seem rather unhappy here. But as I've seen it so far, it's been a pretty fair officiated game, wouldn't you say?
I think so. I mean, Valor certainly has played better.
And here we go. Bone in the Leg page gets us started in the semifinal. The road to Pueblo is on. Pospisil takes it at the 2-yard line. Gets up to the 20 and taken down across the 25 up to the 27. That's where Pomona will take on over.
So as we said in the pregame, Ben, I think you're looking for a Pomona team that's going to primarily rush, but they've been saving up over these past 7 games that they've consistently won, with possibly with some unique formations, some trick plays, some things Cherry Creek hasn't seen before, just to keep Cherry Creek on their toes.
Pospisil puts someone in motion. Get a take it himself. And it's going to be tackled down for a loss on the first play of the game.
And for fans who aren't familiar with the Pomona play style, it's not uncommon for Pospisil to take the ball in a direct snap. He's a quarterback, but he's also their leading rusher, and he'll take the ball and run with it.
And it's kind of like they're in the Wildcat formation on every play.
But yeah, you have to be prepared for Pospisil to do anything pretty much on any play. He's such a versatile guy. And I believe the Denver Post wrote in their piece that he's, quote, malleable. So just an all-around great player.
On 2nd and 12, they're going to hand it off. This one goes to A.J. Zamora. Zamora will get up close to the 29. That will bring up 3rd down.
And, Ben, it's going to be funny for you because you're going to be listing off 7, 8 guys who are going to be rushing today. This Pomona depth chart goes very, very deep. They've got 8 guys rushing, 6 of them with rushing touchdowns. Very deep depth chart.
It's a team that averages almost 300 rushing yards per game. They keep it on the ground again for a short gain. It's going to bring up 4th down. Going to be taken down at the 31.5. So 4 plays, 4 yards so far for Pomona. They're going to get ready to punt it away. Back deep for the Bruins is Miles Purchase. Could say a ton about him, but I think the fans at home must know. The punt away. It's going left and out of bounds. We got a flag down on the 37. Now Pospisil's the punter as well out there, Matthew. I was not ready for that one.
Oh, and he's a defensive back too, Ben. Pospisil was actually a wide receiver last year, and then when Brady Ritzman didn't return as quarterback, Pospisil was asked to be quarterback. And as a coach, you really only ask someone to change from position of wide receiver to quarterback if you know that they can learn the playbook, that they can be on top of their studying, that they can, that they're smart enough and work hard enough to develop that quarterback skill set in such a brief period of time. And that's exactly who Jack Pospisil is.
So Pomona was just flagged for illegal formation. The Bruins decline that one, and they take over on the 43-yard line, some favorable field position for their first drive of the game.
Miles Purchase out there as wide receiver on this starting drive. I don't think we've seen that yet this year. We did see that in his junior and sophomore year, I believe.
We saw that last year. He made an appearance in this game at running back and scored the opening touchdown of the game. Of course, only 3 touchdowns total, 2 to Cherry Creek, 1 to Pomona in that contest. But the Bruins are out there with really their top 4 guys and then Julian Hammond and James Walker. It's going to be a handoff to James Walker. Try to go right up the gut. We'll get a short gain of 2 yards as he gets up to the 45-yard line. Now, James Walker really having himself a year on the ground. 11 touchdowns, over 800 yards on the season. And every single game he's played in, he's rushed for over 100 yards.
Yeah, James Walker, he's played in games for only a half, or for sometimes it felt like even just a quarter, and still rushing for well over 100 yards. He's worked hard, and he has great ball vision. That's really one of his best assets.
He had 3 touchdowns last week against Regis. And before the Bruins get their 2nd and 8, Coach Logan going to call his first timeout of the game, and it usually does come in the opening quarter of a half more often than not.
Well, Coach Logan understands that getting some momentum here is going to be particularly important. They just put Pomona on a 3-and-out. If Pomona can return that with another 3-and-out, they're on even ground. But if Cherry Creek can convert here, and they can convert with some pretty good field position, that would really sway the momentum in their direction. And Coach Logan understands this, and that's why he's going to take his time, slow down, be thoughtful about what's going to happen on this next play.
So, by the way, the Legend Valor game, the winner of this one playing the winner of that one next week in Pueblo. And a lot at stake in that game because Valor's never lost in a semifinal, and Legend's never been in one. So number 2 and number 3 facing up at Valor Stadium.
Definitely a lot at stake in that game. We'll be tuning to that game during this one, actually.
So after the timeout, Cherry Creek's ready for 2nd and 8. Hammond going to drop back to pass. And he had Henry coming back in. Pass was a little bit underthrown. It will be incomplete.
This is uncharacteristically inaccurate for Julian Hammond there. Of course, usually when he makes a mistake like that, bounces back quickly. Miles Purchase out of the game now. They had him in there on the first snap. They don't have him in there anymore. You know, I don't know. They're trying to show why you put Miles Purchase in. If perhaps it's to show something funky on film. Don't know. 3rd
and long now coming up for the Cherry Creek Bruins. Another pass. Looked like it was the exact same play, except Henry wasn't there. It's going to be incomplete. And it's going to be a Cherry Creek 3 and out.
Well, a great stop there from Pomona. And a key stop at that. Put these two teams on even ground. Now Pomona has the ball. Of course, Gunnar Helm going to hope he can give the worst, or pardon me.
Gunnar Helm out there punting. We haven't seen that in well over a year. And after this one's hauled in, it's going to be marked right around the 16 or 17-yard line. Gunnar Helm back out there to punt.
Well, remember, he punted last year, and then he committed to Texas, and they subbed Bowden Page in. Probably because, and this is my own supposition, that Gunnar Helm, you know, Texas just didn't want Gunnar Helm to punt. They wanted him to stick to tight end. But for whatever reason, they've subbed Gunnar Helm back in as punter. That would be their second odd personnel change yet in this first quarter. Gunnar Helm as punter and Miles Purchase in as wide receiver.
On their first drive, it was 3 runs and a 3 and out for Pomona. Now they're out there for their second. They're on their own 17. This one quickly swallowed up by Arden Walker. After Chase Moeller got the handoff, it's going to be a tackle for a loss. Make that a 3-yard loss.
I think this Pomona running back core has got to get to the outside. On the inside, you have a straight D1 defensive line, the D1 D-line, as I like to call them. And on the outside, you have some D1 quarterbacks, but they hit a lot weaker.
Pospisil rolls out to the right. His first passing attempt of the game in the area of Dominic Nichols is incomplete. We have yet to see a complete pass in this game so far. So 3rd and 13 coming up for Pomona.
Three receivers set with 1 running back. That's pretty uncommon for Pomona.
It's going to be a handoff. Pospisil, oh, he fakes the handoff. Pospisil keeps himself, gets up to the 20. Maybe for a 7-yard gain. Won't be enough for the first down. 4th and 6 coming up for the Panthers. Punt is up. Going to be well out of bounds. We'll see where it crossed the sideline.
Teams have learned soon enough that when Miles Purchase is returning, you just got to kick it out of bounds.
So Cherry Creek will take over on their own 42 with 8:04 left in quarter number 1. So neither of these teams have earned a first down as of yet. We've only seen 3 and outs. A pitch to James Walker. Gets to the 25 and across to the 50. As he gets all the way down to the 35. A big run for James Walker.
And
A 22-yard gain.
that tackle there completed by Dominic Nichols and Steven Gartman. They're both quite a bit smaller than James Walker, and if there was one statistical weakness of Pomona, it would have to be their size. They're a much smaller team than Cherry Creek, and there James Walker nearly breaking their tackles, takes 2 guys to wrap him up. They're going to have to hit hard, and it's going to hurt, but when you're a small guy, you got to be tough like that.
So Cherry Creek just had the first down of this game. Miles Purchase going to get a little bit of a handoff, and will get a short gain. And he's going to be marked out of bounds after a short gain. Going to be a 4-yard gain, bring up 2nd and 6.
Miles Purchase here on the motion. Just takes the ball right from Hammond. Squeezes up. There you see some great blocking. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, definitely out of bounds.
Yep. No doubt about that.
2nd and 6 on the 31-yard line. Bruins in Panthers territory. Miles Purchase takes a direct snap, and he gets all the way up to the 24-yard line. That will give Cherry Creek a first down.
Ben, it's fair to say we've never seen anything like this from Cherry Creek. Miles Purchase on a direct snap. I mean, if you had watched the game film from any of the past 7 games, you would have said Miles Purchase is only a defensive player. Switching some things up here, Cherry Creek knows that if they were to win this game, Valor would go, they'd look at the film, and maybe they see some odd things that have Valor scratching their heads a little bit, be a little bit confused, or, pardon me, Valor or Legend, whichever team ends up winning. So, and no doubt Pomona will do the same thing, although I haven't spotted it yet just because I have a little bit less exposure to the Pomona film, but
Purchase in motion. Hammond to O'Day, who will get a first down. We have a flag down first. I think this one's coming back.
look to be 2 flags, one on the snap and one sometime after. And Ben, I missed it. Did you hear what they said the penalty was? Oh.
So they had 2 men in motion at the time of the snap. Going to be a 5-yard penalty, bring up 1st and 15 for the Bruins. So we're approaching the midway point in quarter number 1. Penry will go to the bottom of your screen and be joined by Miles Purchase, Kyle Day on the bottom side of the formation as well, with Gunnar Helm on top. Purchase in motion. Going to move to the top side of the formation. Hammond dropping back to pass. Looking in the area of big old Gunnar Helm. It's caught. Touchdown Bruins. Gunnar Helm is in the end zone, and the Bruins are on the board first.
That's going to be Steven Gartman there on the coverage. Now, Gartman, he's not a big guy, and Gunnar Helm is 6'6". And you'll see there it's just not even a contest of height. Gartman can't get up to that level of height. So,
wow, Gunnar Helm just kept his foot in bounds. What a reception there as bone in the leg Page comes on for the extra point. It is up, and it is good. It is 7-0 with 6:12 left in quarter number 1 from the Stutler Bowl. By the way, score over at Valor Stadium. Valor leads it 7-0 as well early in the first quarter.